truly rise up to any challenge. I mean, I would credit it for a lot of my career growth as well as my personal development. And in terms of a crisis, every opportunity comes, or every crisis, if you like, has opportunities or hidden opportunities within them. I mean, look at our current one, which everybody's talking about, COVID. If it wasn't for COVID, would we be here together having this opportunity to share ideas, to brainstorm, to learn together? So in terms of crisis and all, I believe, I think in fact, although I don't have the exact details of it, so don't quote me, but I believe there's a Chinese, it is in Chinese that the way the word crisis is written, it's actually in its opposite form is spelled opportunity. So every time I see a crisis, I believe in looking for that opportunity and refusing to be frightened or terrified because that's a natural reaction. I also believe that if you are too comfortable, then you become complacent. So sometimes these crises, whatever they may be, help keep you motivated, they boost you, and they bring about adventure. So I hope I answered yours. And I'm so excited about what you're doing today. I'm so excited about working with the Pakistan Territorial Council because our journey this far is really the journey you are going through. And I can't wait to keep walking. I look forward to walking with you because I can't wait to see you become first a provisional district and then a full district. So what you're doing is in the right vein because you're empowering all the members. Keep going. And thank you for your kind comments, because really all I'm doing is supporting in the background. You are the ones who are doing so much, and this team here has been incredible in what you're doing. Keep it up, yeah?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, ATM Rosie Rana. That was, as always, very motivating. And the theme of today's event is Dare to Dream. In fact, that's the theme of my intro. And the thought behind that dream is that, you know, there can only be one world champion of public speaking every year. Nothing can change that.
Yeah.
But our dream should not necessarily be to win a contest. Our dream should not necessarily be to stand on the podium and receive a trophy. The dream should be to deliver a world-class speech. The dream should be to deliver a world-class contest. And the best thing about Toastmasters is that there are so many ways to win in Toastmasters. You just don't need, the only way to win is not just becoming an area, division, district, or world champion. Another way to win is to perform your duties as a judge spectacularly. Another way to win is to participate in the international video contest. Another way to win is to have such an amazing contest that it ends up generating so much interest in your club or area or division that you are buried under new membership applications. There are so many ways to win, and there's not a single way to lose, because you cannot lose at Toastmasters. It's impossible to lose at Toastmasters. What you invest in Toastmasters, you'll always get a return with interest, and it can be in terms of a personal growth, it can be in terms of recognition, it can be in terms of external recognition, it can be in terms of someone just walking up to you in the middle of a conversation and just saying to you that, how come you've gotten so good at conversations? I bet that any of you who have spent even a few months in Toastmasters have encountered the situation. So this is our dream today. Our dream is obviously to emulate District 114 and to become a provisional district and then a full-fledged district. Our dream is to send our contestant to the worldwide stage. Our dream is to have them do well. Our dream is to have them enthrall a worldwide audience. But while we work towards that dream, there's so much more to win. And every moment in Toastmasters offers a potential opportunity to conquer your audience, whether at club level or area or division or district. And our goal should be nothing less than to deliver a world-class speech, managed in a world-class manner, and judged by world-class standards. Nothing is stopping us from achieving that. So with that, I welcome once again all the participants, and we will move to our first training session for today. How it will go is that there will be a total of 4 training sessions, and the training session will be of 20 minutes, and it will be followed by a Q&A or a discussion, any comment, and for that the Zoom chat box can be used. Since this is an educational session, there will be no timer. However, at the completion of your allotted time, I'll be requesting the speaker to wind up their session, and after that there will be a 10-minute question answer session. So I request the speakers, since there will be no timer, to keep an eye on the clock, and also I ask all the participants to be attentive and be ready with your questions, because this learning opportunity, which covers each and every aspect of a speech contest, from preparation to administration to contestant preparation to an actual contest and to judging. This opportunity is unlikely to come again, because contest season is kicking off. So I also urge everyone who's here today to make emergency calls or texts to your friends and colleagues at Toastmasters and ask them to join this session. With that, let me introduce the first trainer of the day, who is Toastmaster Iram Rizvi. What can be said about Iram Rizvi? Because it will take a 3-hour webinar to explain who Iram Rizvi is. So I don't intend to do that. However, Toastmaster Iram Rizvi is a passionate Toastmaster. She is a gem of a person. She is an amazing and eloquent speaker. Like the best Toastmasters, she is also available 24/7. No matter what time you text her, the response is there, which actually makes me doubt if she is a human being at all. But that's a topic for another day. She has won many contests. She once shared a picture of her trophies with me, and thankfully after that I got appointed to a district leadership position and became ineligible to contest, and that is why I got considerably relaxed, because I can never hope to amass that many trophies ever. She is serving not only the Toastmasters community of Pakistan since 2 years or so. She is also a very, very active leader in District 105. And District 105, we all know, is one of the flagship districts of the world. She's serving as an area director there, and she's also serving as a VP membership of Express Toastmasters Club. She has had extensive experience in not only arranging contests, but also contesting contests. So without further ado, I hand over the floor now to Toastmaster Iram Rizvi. Over to you. And yes, thank you.
Thank you so much, DTM Talha. And I repeatedly tell my good friends, close friends, that please do not give huge introductions in the beginning, because then it puts up a lot of pressure while we come on the stage. But that's what Toastmasters is all about, picking up pressures, and contest is obviously one of the main things which is connected to that. Assalamu alaikum and good evening to everyone. I'm so excited to be handling today's session, which is a technical setup and best practice for contest. And imagine This is one contest out there where in Toastmasters, we were so used to body language, audience engagement, getting expressions, eye contact, whereas now we can't find any of these things in virtual platform. And as said by Daniel Rex, for this year, all of the contests starting from area are going to be happening virtually, which means we need to practice our club contest, even our normal speeches in virtual manner to know how to do a contest virtually. So now again, we have this year around, which was last year we did that and we did very successfully. And Pakistan has anyways put up a mark because we have been having a champion of video competition, which was DTM Zaid Kalia. This means we have a pressure in our hand, being Territorial Council, to do top-notch best practice on virtual contest. So now I'm going to share a slide and the deck is going to be shared with you. So host, can you please give me privilege?
Yes, just hold on. And now you should be able to share your screen.
All right. Please confirm when you start seeing.
Yes.
Great.
I can see. Yeah.
So we are now going to start with some points and I'm going to keep it very straight. DTM Talha, you're going to give me a heads up at 20 minutes, please. Just let me know when 20 minutes are done. So I know half of my time is done. Thank you.
Sure.
So first thing first, we miss out on this, but then there is a caveat, there is a statement that you need to share whenever there is a contest happening. This could be shared when the people are logging in, when the participants are coming in, when the audience are coming in. And if you're having a slide or a music background which is going on, you need to share this because Toastmasters or the people who are organizing the event are not liable and anybody has a right to take any clip, has a right to take any probably motto of yours or probably a part of your speech, anything, and that could go online. So you do know there is a statement and this is different from our physical meetings because in physical meetings, we would say that, you know, if a contestant says that I do not allow anybody to take a video except my family member or a friend of mine, then it is announced that, you know, you cannot make a video or if they allow. But here, this has to be shown and this is clearly written in our online virtual speech guideline, which I will be sharing a link in the end and DTM Talha would be sending it to all the participants or I could share it in the chat box in the end. So this has to be shown in every contest that you have, tall tales, evaluation, table topics, club, area, division, district level. Now, when we do preparation, now I'm going to now focus on before the contest. So I'm going to read that out and speak on it. I would really request you to hold your questions, write them down, and share them in the end if I have not shared it in my deck. So if it's been covered, then this means that it's answered. So please bring out the questions which are not here because the document was pretty big. The education is really high from Toastmasters and I have just picked up the major points. You have to make sure that before the contest, at least a week before, you have your judges eligibility and code of ethics form filled. Speaker certification of eligibility and originality has to be filled much before the contest. Please do not leave these things for the last minute. It adds up a lot of pressure because anyways, everybody, including the judges, timers, contest chair, everybody goes through a lot of preparation and this is a volunteering organization. So we need to respect that the moment you get the form as a speaker to sign up for the eligibility and originality, please sign it up that day and send it. You can always let the contest chair know if you're planning to change your topic, but sign up the form and send so that the chief judge knows that whoever is participating is eligible. Dues and renewals, this is very important. This was picked up last year by one of our area directors in TC 122, and this year I have a very clarity on it. So if your dues are not clear from your club, you will not be eligible to take part in area or division, even in the division level. So you have to make sure it's a responsibility of the club that if you want your star, your champion to go ahead on the next levels, make sure, because March is the month that around that we would be having contest going on much before that. So you have to make sure that there should not be a huddle to your contestants. So make sure that your dues are paid. All the contestants participating have to be a paid member. So in March, when the contests are going on, and even right now when we are already starting with debate and tall tales, you have to be a paid member to participate in any contest. And similarly, your standing. Judges, ballot counters, Zoom masters, timers, you all need to have backup for all of them because it's technology, it's connection. There could be a breakout, there could be anything. Anything could happen in a session right now. So you need to have people out there, extras, requesting them to be there as an audience, help you out. And if there is someone disconnecting, then they can take over. Make sure that you always have 3 ballot counters, 3 Zoom masters, and 3 timers. Whereas, of course, you need 2 timers, but then have these positions 3 so that if one disconnects, you know that there's someone on the backup. Judges and ballot counters remain anonymous. Then they cannot write on their name that they're judges, nor you can introduce them. Neither they should come up on the camera and show their activity. The ideal timings for everyone so that you can do your technical setup is that the moderators, they arrive 45 minutes before the contest. The participants should arrive 30 minutes before the contest. Audience may arrive 10 to 15 minutes, respecting that there is a lot of preparation going on. So if they come early, they're going to make sure that the contest goes smooth. And similarly, whenever you come late in a contest, imagine if you're logging in after 30 minutes, this means there's a very high chance that a speech might be going on, and hopefully the Zoom master is not going to let you enter. So you're going to miss out on a precious work. So make sure that you arrive on time, at least 10 minutes before, and get yourself familiarized that who are there and what the setting up is happening as an audience. But the participants, contestants, you have to be there 30 minutes before. You have to check your backup of your power, your light, your audio, everything has to be checked up. So you have to make sure that you're there 30 minutes, feel comfortable, check out the breakout. Hi, am I audible, visual, or did I get disconnected? DTM Tala?
Yes,
Yes, you are audible.
yes. As soon as
For
you
how long
mentioned,
was I disconnected?
I think a few seconds. I think Zoom
So as
kind
soon
of
as I
crashed.
mentioned about backups, I got disconnected.
Exactly. That's all it took. That's all it took.
I would request, yeah, I'm sure nobody's using the camera, but in case someone is, I would request you to help me with my bandwidth. And I think everyone in my house right now, around 13 devices are connected on internet. So this has to happen. And this was one of the tips that I did. So on the day of the contest of my division, I had the password changed in the morning. So nobody could log in that day, even by chance, because then the YouTube is going on and it really affects your bandwidth at home. Now, in case I'll try, this is why I had the points, because I had an idea that it's evening time and in case any disconnection happens, so it makes sense. Now we are going to go towards the preparation and technology preparation for the contestants. Contestants, it's your duty to run after the chief judge 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, the day you come to know when the contest is and the day you have the dates with you and the chief judge is announced, it's your responsibility to get the chief judge have a session with the contestants or you. And in that, you have to ask the question about stage. So let me tell you that all the contestants are supposed to have, if not same, but similar stage. So it's not possible that one of the contestants is sitting of my view, which is just till my upper waist, and the other contestant is having the whole view till the knees, and maybe someone else is having till the waist. So the chief judge is actually going to state that what the stage is going to be. And this will happen when all the contestants come on board. And if someone says that, you know what, in my speech, I'm kicking someone. So then they decide that, you know, then everybody's going to have a stage which shows till their knees. And if everyone is going to have a speech and comfortable, all the contestants with till the waist lower, then that's going to be decided by CJ. There is no rule. The chief judge and the contestants are going to have a session in which these things are discussed. So the stage, the props, audio visual interruption. This is a huge, huge topic. What happens if you go mute in the middle? Your audio disconnects. So what are you going to do? So you have to ask the rule from the chief judge. What happens if your internet disconnects? Then what's the rule for that contestant at that time? Let me give you an example. At some cases, on technical difficulties, the chief judge would ask the contestant to come again in the last, as being the last speaker, and start 10 seconds before from where he got disconnected. At some places, the chief judge say that, you know, do your speech again. At some places, they get disqualified. So it completely depends on the chief judge and the rules laid by him or her, that how these things are going to be handled. At some contest, the chief judge, they give 30 seconds for the setting up of camera and mic. At some contests, they give 2 minutes. So this all of these points have to be discussed with the chief judge directly, and that's contest chair, contestants, and the chief judge. And then the rules are laid down, and then those rules are not changed for any contestant. If the rule is that you have 30 seconds to get ready with your mic and camera and the timer would start, then even if you take 2 minutes for setting up, then the time has started. Then there is no exceptional because the chief judge has laid down the rules. All of your laptops have to be placed in eye level. So when you're standing, they need to be eye level because if you look at the camera, that shows an eye contact. So all of your laptops have to be placed on that place. Similarly, your mics. My dear fellow Toastmasters, it's your responsibility that your lights are good, your mic is of a good quality, your laptop is of a good quality. It's your responsibility. Similarly, that when you go to a physical contest, if you're wearing a short dress with clean shoes and nailed up your nails, this is your responsibility. Shaved up and all, your hair is permed nicely. This is your responsibility. So in virtual meetings, just like how your attire is important in a physical meeting, similarly, your attire plus your lights, your camera, your everything related to the technology is your responsibility. You cannot say later that that person had a more expensive light, so he was looking better, his expressions were more clear, I did not have. That does not work. So do investment in that. You need to look out in the market, ask your fellow Toastmasters, that you know what they have used. Yes, Talha.
Yeah, 10 minutes are up.
Thank you. And of course, I spoke about lights, camera. Similarly, in table topics and evaluation, it's your responsibility to know that you know what the breakout rooms are. You need to have the understanding that, you know, I have to move to this room, come into this room, and you have to have a mock contest, probably 3 days, 4 days, a week before the actual date with your CJ, where you understand that I have to move from the room and come into the main room and how that would be done. You need to have a backup device similarly. So if you're using a laptop, you need to have a mobile with you ready, that in case, God forbid, your laptop crashes just before the contest or while practicing, then you need to have another device, something with a better camera and connection that, you know, you can have that at the day of the contest, and make sure that you have a stand for the mobile device. Now, during the contest, there have to be multiple chat messaging services. These have to be developed mostly by the chief judge and the contest chair. There has to be different messaging groups where you have all the judges along. You need to have ballot counters at one place. You need to have timers at one place. There has to be a protest chat. If there is a protest race, then everybody should be having chief judge's personal number or a WhatsApp number. There has to be a way that he says that, you know, either ping me on the chat, which is not recommended on Zoom, but then most probably a WhatsApp number where you can send in a message to the chief judge that, there is a protest that you want to raise. And of course, we all know that protest can only be raised by the contestants and the judges. And if anybody has a protest, they either go to contest chair or chief judge, but in the virtual meetings, we prefer to go directly to the chief judge. And as written, that ensure CJ's direct contacts it with all the participants, and all the participants change their names except the judges and the ballot counters. Here is an example that you write your role first, and then you write Iram Rizvi. Similarly, when the audience comes in, everybody's requested. So you put up in your welcome message that please name yourself so that you know that a particular person has come from which division, which area, or come from a different district. So you have to ask everyone to name themselves. And this is more of an integrity part of Toastmasters, that no participant should be allowed to log in from 2 devices. And if they are logging in from 2 devices, they have to inform the chief judge that this is my laptop logged in and this is my mobile logged in. And in the case of table topics and evaluation, 2 devices are not allowed. So you need to use 1 device only. And then of course it's respect and integrity, that if you have your family member logged in from another device or something, then that is something what Toastmasters want to trust you on, that no such thing or unethical thing is happening. Now, during the contest, this is specifically for contest chair and chief judge, you need to have a backup of the contest officials. So you need to have everybody. It was mentioned before that you need to have 1 or 2 extra judges, 1 probably extra ballot counter, 1 timer extra, that you should know that if something happens, they're there. Remember that it's an online contest. This is for the judges. This is an online contest. It's going to get very tough for the contestants. Contestants are not getting a response from the audience. They do not even know once they get disconnected or if their audio is getting lagged, they don't know what is happening. So you need to understand that you cannot mark them on their video and audio, on the visual and audio responses. All you have to focus on is the content and the body language and the things which is mentioned in the ballot when you're marking them. But then what happens if they slightly miss out on audio, or what happens if their video slightly shrinks in for a second or 2? These things are not to be considered by the judges. Technology has got nothing to do with the judges out here once they're marking their ballots. Contest chair must have the same introduction. A contest chair can either say Toastmaster Iram, Toastmaster DTM, Toastmaster Talha, Toastmaster Fareha. It has to be similar. And once she's introducing or he's introducing, you need to have a line which is used for testing. For example, Toastmaster Fareha Iqbal, please repeat after me. It is a wonderful day today. Good evening. So the Toastmaster Fareha has to respond back saying that it's a wonderful day today. Good evening. And she says it with a pause so that we are very sure that Toastmaster Fareha has a good audio and has a good video. And while doing that, it's recommended that the contest chair has a line which includes a bit of a hand gesture. Good evening. So when they do that, we know that the visual is also fine. The video setup is also fine for the contestant. Same line has to be used for each and every contestant. Not even a single word can be different. Contest chair could be questioned on that. The contest chair has to make sure that it's the same line, it's the same way. And the contest chair needs to smile. This is something that I miss out in a couple of contests, but I have seen magic happening when contest chairs are smiling, when they're relaxed, and when they welcome, they have a smile for each contestant. And it makes a difference that, when you welcome them, when you take someone's name with a smile, it makes a huge difference. Contest chair's responsibility is to make sure that the topic is exactly how the contestant has given. A contest chair also has to make sure that he or she is pronouncing the name correctly. If my name is Iram Rizvi, it cannot be Irum, it cannot be Aram, it cannot be Iran. So you have to make sure by contacting me that, Iram, how is your name pronounced? And if I care, I can be very strict about it, that, you have to pronounce it in a certain way. But usually I do not care how my name is pronounced. I'm fine by understanding we come from different nationalities and background. but then you have to check with the contestants personally on pronunciation of their names. After the speech is finished, a contest chair again has to smile and say thank you. 2 minutes silence, 1 minute silence. That's it. There is nothing else that the contest chair could say, which includes that, great speech, great one. If there is a gesture of this kind, this has to be same for everyone. If you're not doing this, then you don't do this for everyone. If there was a humorous speech, you cannot come on mic by laughing and saying thank you to show that the speech closing was very humorous. The contest chair needs to be very neutral. So if you're smiling, you have to say thank you, smile, 1 minute silence, please. And then you have to make sure that in 1 minute, what has to be displayed on the screen, what do you want to show on the slide so that the audience is engaged. And similarly, chief judge's decision is the last decision in any connectivity issue. As I mentioned earlier, that if the chief judge has given 30 seconds or 2 minutes, which has been already decided, once the chief judge has given a word that this contestant is disqualified or not disqualified, that's the last word from the CJ, and judges cannot, or contest chair cannot intrude in that. Now, during the contest for the contestants, the evaluation and table topics, this is specifically for that. The test speaker must name themselves test speaker and the camera should be off. People should not know or see who that person is. The test speaker must test a line and all contestants confirm. So when he comes on board, he could say, she sells seashells on the shallow seashore. Can you hear me properly? Can you see me properly? They get a confirmation, a thumbs up from all the contestants, and that's when the test speaker for the evaluation speech starts. There could be an audio lag when the contest chair is saying the table topics topic. So ideally, when you have the contestants getting ready with the mic and all, the contest chair can type, and the moment she or he is about to say the topic, can press an enter and write it in chat what the topic is. This is something which is not done, but it is in the rule book, that if you, it is in the rule guide, that if you do this, this really makes it easier, because it has been seen that either one word or something is not right, even when it was repeated by the contest chair. So ideally, if you type it, it really works out. A chief judge can help out in this way, that when the contest chair is saying it, the chief judge could write to the contestant the topic. Contestants test a line. Now in evaluation and in table topics, before the evaluation speech starts and before the table topic starts, again, the contestants are going to test a line given by the contest chair. Cameras will be off till the contest chair chats to come on the camera or announces the name. No contestant is allowed to switch on the video by itself unless and until the contest chair says that, once we have a 1 minute silence, the contestants can come on board and switch on their cameras. But if the contest chair is not saying that, you have to wait for the contest chair till they say that, you can switch on your camera. So this could be decided in your mocks and in your demos, that how these rules have to be put up.
20 minutes.
Thank you. After the contest, all contest official digital files are to be deleted. It's the breach of trust if any of these files are found by a contestant or anyone in the audience. So the chief judge and every official who's involved, it's your responsibility, it's your integrity, and it's a service that you have to delete these files, which includes timing reports, judges' ballots and notes, protest chat, scoring. And none of these things, they go out, especially when there are protests and any scoring is going on. Timers, ballot counters, there's a huge responsibility on you anyways, whenever there is a physical meeting. Similarly, it is for the virtual ones. Contest chair must not play the guess game in results. Please, I request you again and again, pass it on to your club. If it was practiced in the club contest, please pass on the message. This is not allowed. This is something that Toastmasters doesn't recommend and doesn't appreciate, that you play a guess game that who has won. So please do not do that. You have to very professionally announce, because everyone is a winner. It's not Oscars, it's not Filmfare Awards. So please avoid doing that. And if no protest, once announced, the results are final by the chief judge. So once the names are announced, that whoever the winner is, it cannot be changed at any circumstances. So any protest that has to be done needs to be done before. the announcement of the winners. This is the reference code, and if you want, you can quickly take a screenshot, and I'm open for Q&A. I'll leave it for 10 seconds to take a screenshot, and I will also put it up on the chat box. And now we are open for Q&A for any questions that I have not covered. And if I'm aware of, I would love to answer.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster. Anyone who has a question, please raise your hand, or this can mean one of two things. Either Toastmaster Iram was outstanding, which is more likely, or you were all sleeping, which I don't want. So please.
Toastmaster Talha?
Yes, go ahead, Toastmaster Mirza Wali Beg.
Yes, Toastmaster, I have a question. I just want to ask about the breakout room session. That how are we going to, what are the rules and regulations that we have to follow when we are sending all the contestants once they are in the breakout room? What are the guidelines, or what are the protocols for all the contestants? Do they have to be silent, or they have to be away from all the technology, just standing in front of the camera? Is that what we are going to do?
Okay, thank you, Toastmaster Wali. Lovely question. And I'll bring this up with the experience that we had in the last contest that we had last year, and some that I have read in the guidelines. So in the breakout room, you go from the main room. This is why you naming yourself properly, like table topics contestant number 3, Toastmaster Wali. This is very important. So everybody will be picked up from the main room and sent to the breakout room. For example, this is an evaluation contest. So we are going to, you had the test speaker, and once the test speaker was done, you have been picked up from the main room and sent to the breakout room. In breakout room, you're given 5 minutes to write your notes. You have to keep your cameras on. Anybody who switches off their camera for more than 2 to 3 seconds, now there's a guideline on that, could be questioned or could even be disqualified if taken to the chief judge. So your cameras need to be on, your table needs to be visible. Most probably you would be asked to keep something like this and start writing, so we know that you're using a paper, a note, and you're having a notebook in hand. So you need to have a place or have a notepad in hand while you're writing. Once you're in the breakout room, they're going to ask you, 5 minutes are done, please close. You have to, with a lot of integrity and respect for this organization, close it. You have to close it, keep it aside, and you are most probably could sit like that or even fold your hands. And if you're standing, you can stand by having your hand behind you, in front of you, or whatever, but your hands need to be visible. There are 3 sergeant-at-arms in evaluation and table topics contest. This is why, because it's a lot of work for the people who are setting it up. So once you're there and your name is called into the main room, so you're going to be directly put up to the main room, which means that your turn has come. Once you go over there, you will be getting, depending on the chief judge, that it's an evaluation contest, you're given 1 minute, or you're given 45 seconds that, okay, do your setup now, have your desk done, and you have the same book in your hand that you were having. So there is a sergeant-at-arms who keeps on going and coming with you, who sees that that was a pink notebook that you had, and it's the same pink notebook that you're going to open up. And there is one sergeant-at-arms who stays in the breakout room, and there is a main chief sergeant-at-arms who's in the main room. And this sergeant-at-arms who comes with you while you have actually started speaking. So once you have started your speech, this sergeant-at-arms is again going to get a message and go back to the other room whenever he's told by the other sergeant, the chief sergeant-at-arms. So there is a lot of work done by these people in the background. There's a lot of respect for these guys. So all contestants are asked to do is to respect back and make sure that the ethics is followed.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Iram. We have a question from DTM, once for old curriculum, and DTM once for pathways. Atif Irfan. Atif sir, you raised your hand.
Yes, thank you very much. First of all, I would like to appreciate for such a great presentation. Everything was so much covered that I don't think that there will be more questions on that. Well done on that.
Thank you.
So my question that was what I faced once, that there are a few visually impaired speakers we have here in Pakistan as well. And what the timer is supposed to do is to start the time on first physical gesture of the speaker. That's what the rule says. So in that case, the speaker is a bit confused that he or he may ask time and again that, has my time started? When my time started? So that creates a problem in the contest, in the environment. So have you seen any best practice anywhere in the world where we can handle such situation? So that was my question.
Yes. So DTM Atif, yes, there is a guideline on special contestants. And the guideline says that the chief judge needs to know that if there is a special contestant, and that special contestant has whatever the way how the timer is going to say, or is there going to be someone who's going to point him out that the time has started, or the cards have to be visible, that has to be decided before the contest. So usually on the day of contest, when that visually impaired contestant arrives, he already knows what the rules are. So in the guidelines, you will see that this is something that when you're having your mocks and demos, this thing is already decided. So again, this is between this between the chief judge and the contestants, that what the rules are laid. So if there is someone like that, you have to as earliest as possible, let the chief judge know that we need to have a rule for this one contestant.
Thank you.
And yes, sorry,
So,
you also asked that
DTM
if I have seen any best
I
practice.
hope
So the
you
best
got your
practice
answer.
has been that once the timer is timed, everyone is asked to Can you hear me, DTM Tala?
Yes, that was the perfect answer. I believe.
The YouTube is killing my session.
Yes, yes, yes.
Thank you. So we have seen in as a best practice, I have seen in one of the contest where the timer has been pinned and has used the colors. And in the other case, there has been an audio that, we will be saying that the time has started. But usually these contestants, they get a gap of probably of 5 to 10 seconds extra to understand that, they might hear an audio a little bit late and then they start. But then in their cases, it's not usually on the first instance. It's usually when they say, okay, they're ready. But again, you have to decide this between the chief judge and the contestant. Next question, please. I hope this answered.
Okay. Yes, thank you so much. We have 4 minutes of this opportunity, everyone. Anybody who has a question?
May I?
Toastmaster Imran Rana, is that a question or a comment?
That's a thumbs up.
Okay. And you're violating what Toastmaster Iram just said, that you're not supposed to give comments.
Any questions? Otherwise, I would love to.
Yeah.
Actually, I would like to appreciate the way she's did the training
Here
session.
you're allowed. Here you're allowed. Yeah.
So many congratulations, Toastmaster.
Thank you. Very kind of you.
So actually, yes.
Thank you very much. I'm feeling there is an internet lag. I'm feeling a bit of a delay in audio.
Yes. Okay.
Yes, DTM.
We have Toastmaster. Yeah, we have Toastmaster Latif. You want to ask something, Toastmaster Latif?
Assalamu alaikum, ma'am. Big fan of yours.
Walaikum salam.
Actually, when I was practicing, about humorous speech and all, I got through those video of yours where you have said, Arslan goes like this and you go like this. Maybe no one has requested you.
Yes, thank you.
No one has requested you, but may I see you live like this, one sentence again?
Oh my God!
I didn't knew that you are Iram. I didn't knew that you are Iram Rizvi. Actually, I've just seen your speech, and today while seeing you, I was like, okay, I've seen this lady. Where I have seen it, and then finally it reminded me everything. Is it possible? If okay, otherwise no issues.
No, that's very sweet of you. And this is very overwhelming. DTM, Talha and all are very used to it. because they have a big fan base. But then this is very overwhelming. Thank you so much. This is the love that I get from Toastmasters for just a mere speech, and I'm very overwhelmed. So all I can do is that. That's so it's tough because my husband was here in the room, so I can't do it. And by doing that speech, I have put him in a bad spot all over. So Arsalan goes, and I go. So that's for you, Toastmaster Lateef. I hope you enjoy.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Proud. Stay blessed.
So thank you so much, Toastmaster Lateef, for giving. That was a fan moment, Toastmaster Hill. Are you dizzy yet? So we have 30 seconds.
Oh my God, I enjoyed it.
Any more questions or requests? We have 30 seconds to go.
I will be putting down the link over here. I would really request everybody to go through it. Please go through it. And it also has a guide for your video submission that you're going to do. And everybody has to do that. From each club, it has to go. We have a history of having champions here. So it cannot be left. So we have a legacy to fulfill that started with DTM Zaid Kalia. So everybody needs to even go through that guidelines and also the virtual meetings one. And if any question is there, I'll put up my email address, my number. Please get in touch with me. If I'm not able to answer, I assure you, I'm going to get the right person to get you an answer on that. And thank you very much. My time is done. So I hope you enjoyed. The question and answers doesn't end here. We always leave up space to ask questions. You can either reach out to DTM Talha or the contacts that will be shared up here. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Iram, and I urge everyone to give her a hearty round of applause, even if you have to unmute your mics to do that. I will do so. In such short a time, you covered so many important aspects, and it was amazing learning for all of us. And our next trainer is, at this point, he needs no introduction, but nevertheless, I will go ahead because I like to put people under pressure thanks to lengthy introductions. So DTM Atif Irfan is a lovely human being. He is an amazing Toastmaster. He is responsible for opening many Toastmasters clubs. He's completed one DTM in the old curriculum, and the second, he is the first, and so far as I know, it's my job to know, but I don't know for sure, but he perhaps is the only Pakfiz DTM as of now. And what can I say? Every time I've experienced his presence in a Toastmasters meeting, whether as a speaker or as an evaluator, the skills and the empathy and the kindness that he's showed goes beyond any certifications, and ultimately that's what really counts. How Toastmaster develops you as a human being rather than just someone who has a lot of awards. So with that, DTM Atif Irfan not only has a lot of experience as a Toastmaster, he's of course judged many contests and arranged many contests and experienced many contests. So we have invited him to share some tips and tricks, specifically for the contestants, on how to prepare for contests and how to deliver their best, because that should be the criteria, how to deliver your best. Results are secondary, but when you come onto the stage, you should leave the stage knowing that you made the speech of your life. So please put your hands together for DTM Atif Irfan. And once again, the structure is the same. He will have a 20-minute session followed by a 10 minutes Q&A. Over to you, DTM Atif.
Thank you very much, DTM Talha. I was just looking around and was thinking that who is being introduced. And finally, I came to know that it was me. Oh, thank you very much. If I am so good, that it's really amazing. I didn't know about that. Thank you very much. So would you allow me to share my screen, please?
Yes, I made you the co-host. You should be able to share the screen.
Okay, so I hope you can see it now.
Yes, yes, yes.
That's great. Okay, so now today we are going to talk about tips and tricks for contestants. as you all know that we have so many kinds of contests in Toastmasters, and we all prepare for them in a different way. The judging criteria are different, but I'm going to talk to you about all of them. What are the things which make any contestant the best one? Best of the best, whatever be the type of contest. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. So I will just tell you about a few things that I have been listening from my friends, my buddies, my fellow Toastmasters, and I'm going to tell you what I think about them after going through this long journey of Toastmasters. So the first thing that people say is follow your archrival and some fabulous speaker if you want to do a great job. So that's what the people say. And the second point that I have heard for so many times is that make your mind that you are here to win, always win the contest. So that's why you are in a contest. So about these 2 points, first points, I'm going to discuss 10 points that I have heard from my fellow Toastmasters. And these are the first 2 of them. So I would say a big no to both of them. Why? Let's move forward and listen from someone very special.
Being yourself on the stage, I remember I watched one of your YouTube video and you mentioned being yourself, that's something you learned pretty hard way by watching one of 2014 World Championship champion who was Dhananjay Heterachi, right? Yeah, so he said he was just being on the stage, being himself on the stage. So that's the best one.
Yeah, and honestly, I really love what he said. He won the World Championship in 2014, and my mentor, who was actually acquainted with him, scheduled an interview, and he recorded it, and it seemed like it was seconds into that interview where he just totally changed my perspective about speaking and entering that public speaking contest. He said that I decided to be myself and I stopped trying to win the World Championship. And when I stopped trying to win the World Championship, I won the World Championship.
Oh, wow.
So that was something that stuck with me. And to this day, even I will say that I won the World Championship the year I decided to stop trying to win the World Championship.
Ooh.
So that was the point. I won the World Championship the year I decided not to win the World Championship. That's the point. Here is another very interesting thing to see.
अरे राजू, हम लोग पढ़ेंगे, जी लगा के पढ़ेंगे, लेकिन सिर्फ एग्जाम पास करने के लिए नहीं. किसी महापुरुष ने कहा है कि कामयाब होने के लिए नहीं, काबिल होने के लिए पढ़ो. सक्सेस के पीछे मत भागो. एक्सेलेंस का पीछा करो. सक्सेस झक मार के तुम्हारे पीछे आएगी.
So that was the point. Follow excellence and success will follow you. So the answers to those 2 points. Follow your archrival and some fabulous speaker. So I would say you are your own rival because you have to compete yourself. What were you yesterday and what are you today and what are you going to become tomorrow? That's what you have to decide about yourself and monitor about yourself. And the most fabulous speaker, who is the one? You are the one. You are the most fabulous speaker in the world. So be yourself. Make your mind always contest to win. That was the second point. And I said that I don't believe it because I believe that always follow excellence and success will follow you. That's what you need to do. Coming towards the third point. My fellows, many of my friends, they say that impress the audience by some special voice and gestures. So they believe in creating some artificial type of a voice and some gestures which are not so real, not so comfortable with them, but they just adopt them to impress the audience. And the fourth point, Any interesting story can serve the best. Any interesting story can serve the best. Let's see what some great guy, the same guy, says about that. Aaron.
However, I must protect the shoes because when I have a mission, I take it very seriously. So I curl over in my seat, I press the shoes against my chest, and this is how I watch the wedding for the next 30 minutes. The ominous smiler tries to steal the shoes, but I hold firm. Then she disappears for 20 minutes before taking a seat to my right. She says, Aaron, I don't care about the shoes anymore. You win. I say, do I look like a fool to you? But she doesn't move. I think I won. Sunit runs over. He's ecstatic. He says, Aaron, I'm proud of you. I say, thank you. You took this mission very seriously. I say, that's right. Now, give the shoes to me. No.
So you saw that how natural he was. He was leaning forward. There was nothing which was creating a difficulty for him. He was very comfortable with these gestures. So all you need to do is open your heart to the audience, and nothing can come between you and them. Just be with them. And the second point, any interesting story? No. Your story, your words, your feelings will make your speech best of the best. So that's what you are required to do to be a great speaker, to reach excellence. Next point. Humor of all types add to the speech value. That's most of the people believe. And a few of them say that sad emotional moments should be discrete. There should be some great moments, happy moments, playful moments, and then there should be some lag between them, and then some emotional moments which are sad in nature. Then they should be incorporated in the speech. So this is also not true in my opinion. So what we need to do, let's have a look at a few of the speakers, how they are handling it.
But there was one person I was very afraid of, and that was my mama. Raise your hand if you have an emotional mother. Let me see. Put them all together, you get my mama. I can hear her scream outside the police station. Even the cops were afraid. She came up to me, held the iron bars, looked into my eyes, and I saw a tear coming down her face. Now, I've seen my mama cry before, but mothers cry 3 types of tears. Tears of joy, tears of sorrow, and tears of shame. And when a son sees a mother cry tears of shame, that's a life-changing moment. She looked at me and said, son, I want you to be a better man. That night, when I drove home, my dad was waiting for me at home.
So let's see what I believe. Humor of all types add to the speech value? No. Only safe jokes and good humor has to be used, which is relatable for the audience. If the audience is not aware of what kind of humor is that, or what you are saying, or what part of the word are you talking about, they are not going to enjoy it. They are not going to appreciate it. And all you need to do is to select a humor that is best relatable with the audience.
10 minutes.
The second point. Second, sad emotional moments should be discrete. No emotional touches should complement each other moments in the speech, but with suitable transitions. The transitions are the most important parts, as we just saw in the speech. He was in an entirely different mood, and then the speaker changed his mood in just a few seconds, and he took us to another state of mind. So that's what we are supposed to do in short intervals. Now coming towards the 7th point. Catchphrases can add a great value to the speech. What are the catchphrases? They are repetitive phrases. How do they add a great value? This time I'll say yes, they add a great value to the speech. Let's have a look.
He said, son, I see something in you, but I don't know what it is. As soon as I finished, he walked up to me, looked me dead straight in the eye, and said, son, I see something in you, but I don't know what it is. If you come here twice a month, maybe we can find that something. And sometimes, in the middle of the night, I wake up my beautiful wife and I ask her, honey, why did you marry me? She says, I saw something in you. But I still don't know what it is. Ladies and gentlemen, when I look at you, I see something in you. But I don't know what it is. Over to you.
So that was a best use of catchphrases, and let's have another example for that.
Yet if you stay in the ring and learn from those past fights, at the end of each round, you'll be still standing. I got my degree and I graduated magna cum laude. Yeah. After failing 4 times, I was still standing. And there are thousands of men from hundreds of different countries. So single Toastmasters, even after my divorce, I'm still standing. And yeah, 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 we're still standing. Very nice. Stay in that ring. And even after you take a few hits, use what you learned from those previous fights, and at the end of each round, you'll remain still standing. Mr. Contest Chair.
So that was it. Excellent use of catchphrases. Coming towards the 8th point, intelligent questions can bring miracles. And this time, I believe, again, yes, intelligent questions can bring miracles. Let's see an example.
What? Oh, you all think smoking kills? Let me tell you something. Do you know that the amount of people dying from diabetes are 3 times as many people dying from smoking?
So that was a question which shall never be forgotten. That was a great start, with a question and an intelligent question, and the audience can never forget that. So 9th point, play with the camera and you will conquer minds. Play with the camera. What is playing with the camera? I totally believe to this point, and let's see what is playing with the camera.
I was spellbound as I watched the sheriff who had just been shot slide back, open that heavy metal door, stagger forward a couple of steps, look deep into the camera and say, I before E, except after C. Contest chair, fellow Toastmasters.
So that was how to use the camera at its best. You can use so many backgrounds. You can just put the camera at a certain place and then you can create some effects. So many things can be done. So these virtual contests are really blessings for us. We are going to learn a lot from them. And now coming towards the last point, becoming a world champion is impossible or next to impossible. So why trying it? Why wasting our time? I would like you to just listen to this few seconds video once again. Don't believe it.
But I want you to think about what are your challenges and what are the things that you think is impossible. Because this was impossible. Not just for me, but for almost everybody who knows me. And yet here it is. I don't want to say it again, but if I can do this, think about that thing that you thought you could never do. Or you just gave up on because maybe it's way up ahead and I cannot do it. And when you do, I want you to remember that Muhammad Katani got this. And also you can do the same. Thank you.
So why can't you do it? That was the point. You can do it. We have superstars here in Pakistan. And a day will come when in place of Muhammad Katani, someone from Pakistan will be standing and saying something which is even greater than this. So what we learned today, what I expressed, what I believe, I put it in front of you, and I'm going to summarize everything. First of all, be yourself. Don't copy anyone. Simply don't copy anyone. You are the best. You are the best. You are the best. Just follow excellence. Contests are very important. You have to prepare them according to the judgment criteria. I understand, but don't just get flown away in just winning the contest. No, just follow excellence and success will follow you. Open your heart. Don't adopt certain gestures or something that can attract the audience, but open your heart. There is nothing that is going to come between you and the audience. Your story, not any story. Your story is the best thing in a contest, in any speech, in any excellent speech. Your story is the best. Good humor, not any humor, good humor, related humor, and safe humor, which is appreciated by everyone. Blend the moments, sadness, joy. So the speech has to be a complete package. It should have a lesson. It should have may have some sad moments, good moments, happy moments, and you have to give every flavor to the audience. Catchphrases, if you are convinced, you can use some catchphrases because they can add to the flavor. Intelligent questions. If there are some questions, they have to be intelligent because they need to grab the attention of audience. Play with the camera. This is very important in virtual contests that you can use the camera in so many ways. And it's your creativity, how you play with the camera. And so far as becoming a world champion is concerned, you have just heard a great speech. And I want you guys, any one of the persons in District 122 to be a world champion of public speaking in coming days. So that was all from my side, and I'm going to unshare my screen, and this is the time for question answer sessions.
Thank you so much, DTM Atif Irfan, and I believe we not only learned a great deal, but we witnessed a master speaker. Too bad, DTM Atif Irfan, you're ineligible to compete as well. Trust me, if you put in the same thought and preparation into a speech, who knows, maybe you would be one day Pakistan's winner of World Championship of Public Speaking. I'm thoroughly floored by both Toastmaster Iram and your presentations, how well planned they were. And that is a lesson to learn for all of us in terms of timings, in terms of segments, in terms of sequence, in terms of pace. And that brings me to the reason that I introduced Speech Quality Index in the district, because I believe any presentation even if it is an icebreaker or a researching and presenting or a very specialized speech like understand your leadership style. It has the potential to become a world championship speech. And you all just witnessed 2 examples of that. So I have one from Toastmaster Iram herself. Okay. Please share rule of inspiration which contestants may take from internet or books. So any suggestions, any books or any websites?
What I believe is that listening to the speakers in our clubs, in our contests, area contests, division contests, district contests, and of course, World Championship of Public Speaking. So this is the best lesson we can learn. Books can teach us a lot. There are so many people who have different views, but the most important thing is how we catch them. What are the ideas that we are getting from those speeches, and without copying those ideas, we have to inculcate them in our speeches in a way that we believe are the best. That's my take on that. And DTM Talha, I would just like to add one thing about what you said. If anyone from Pakistan wins World Championship of Public Speaking, it will be a feeling that I have won that.
Oh yes,
so it's not
most
that
definitely.
I'm deprived of not being in the contest. I'll be as happy, I'll be more happy if any of my fellow Toastmasters from District 122 wins that contest.
Surely, surely. And that's the very spirit with which we are working. Okay, I have a question. I have first a written question. Why Chief Judge is required to test the contestants' gadgets? Isn't that Sergeant at Arms' responsibility? That's a question by Toastmaster Adnan. Toastmaster Adnan, is that for Toastmaster Iram or DTM Atif?
It's for Toastmaster Iram.
Okay, okay. Toastmaster Iram, would you like to answer that? Okay, I believe she is unavailable at the moment. Meanwhile, we'll ask, okay, Toastmaster Latif, you had a question?
No, sir, no question. Inshallah, I'll make Pakistan proud.
Okay, first make up your mind whether you'll make Pakistan proud or Kuwait proud.
Pakistan, green passport.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, yes, Toastmaster Iram, yes, that was a question for you.
All right, let me just read that again.
Yeah.
So why is Chief Judge is required to test the contestants' gadgets? I did not understand the question. We did not speak about testing contestants' gadgets. Can you elaborate, Toastmaster Adnan?
Yeah, Toastmaster Adnan, please.
Yeah, you were just talking about checking the camera and the mic and the lights and something like that.
All right.
Yes,
okay,
isn't the responsibility
so the Chief
of the Chief Judge?
Yes, no, it's not responsibility of the Chief Judge. It is the contestant's responsibility.
Yes.
So it was the contestant's responsibility that how his mic is, how his laptop is, how his or her camera is, how the lights are, these all things, this is actually contestant's responsibility. The Chief Judge is only going to lay the rule that how much of background should be there, whether you are allowed to come and twinge towards the mic or towards the camera, or you have to stand 3 feet far. In my contest, we taped on the floor because our Chief Judge said you cannot come further than 3 feet. So if you have to do it from the back. So there is a bit of a mistake. So it's not the responsibility of the Chief Judge, it's the responsibility of the contestants. The Chief Judge is going to lay the rules for the props, stage usage, background, standing positions, and related items. I hope this answered.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Iram. We have a question for Toastmaster Wali Beg, and this will be the last question because of time. How much a mentor can have any sort of contribution to the speech of a protege? What are the roles played by the club's mentor on that?
Okay, Toastmaster Wali, the basic principle of being a mentor is that you don't have to grow the protege under your shadow. You just have to guide him or her about what is the potential in your protege, and how can you make him or her groom in the best way. So you have to guide the person, and you have to nurture the skills that are already present in that person. So else remaining all the part is, it all depends on the protege, how well he prepares a speech and how the mentor tells him or her about the facts. But the important thing is that you do not have to give him, you just have to guide him, and you don't have to dictate that about all the parts of that speech, what is the good part, bad part. That all depends upon the protege. So if you are mentoring anyone, so please bear it in mind. And a very good thing that we have available as a resource is Toastmasters mentoring, International Introduction to Toastmasters Mentoring. And there is a separate project for that. So if you can go through that, you will get to know a lot of things about mentoring and how a mentor should be there for a protege. I hope this answers the question.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, DTM.
Thank you so much. We have time for one last quick question to DTM Atif. Anyone? Please raise your hand, or you can unmute yourself and speak. It's all the same.
DTM Atif, because you're covering the content part, could you share the rule from the Chief Judge perspective on how much of inspiration or we call that copying a contestant can do from your books, and how much has to be original?
Okay, so ideally everything should be totally original, but so far as the pleasure check is concerned, so it should not exceed, I believe, 20%. And if it is more than that, it can be contested before the final decision. So that's what the... I couldn't hear you well.
Okay. Okay, so is your question answered, Toastmaster?
Yes, so it's 20%. Apart, if it goes above beyond 20%, it's a protest and a disqualification. Thank you, DTM Atif.
Thank you so much, DTM Atif, and everyone in the audience. I hope you have the contact of DTM Atif Irfan Sheikh. If you don't, by now, I'll be forced to cancel your membership. So please get DTM Atif Irfan's contact and ask any further questions from him. Meanwhile, we'll move on to our next session. We are slightly behind schedule, but, so apologies for that. But anyhow, we'll continue. Our next speaker is someone who is very important in my life, because that someone is actually my mentor. And we all know that Toastmasters mentoring usually lasts for a few months at most. But he is a person for whom you want to be a protege of for your entire life. Not only is he a thorough professional Toastmaster, he is a very amazing human being, and also I would say he, even today, when he hears me speak somewhere, he takes out the time to drop me his feedback, even if it's a one-liner. How many people you know who will do that kind of effort? So it is my honor and pleasure to introduce Toastmaster Najam Rizvi, who will be covering the session on contest judging. But before that, Toastmaster Adnan, did you have a question? You had your hands raised. Do you have a question, Toastmaster Adnan?
No, no, thank you.
Okay. So everyone, please put your hands together for my mentor and Area Director, Area 1 for 2019 and 20, ex-president of Karachi Toastmasters Club and prospective presidents of Karachi Toastmasters Club, Toastmaster Najam Rizvi. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, DTM Talha. Before I start my presentation, I'd like to say that, mentoring and being a mentee, a protege, it's a two-way relationship. And only when a mentee is responsible is the mentor, encouraged to give his best to provide more than, what is required. So it's basically a two-way relationship. And I think if I've been a good mentor, it's more due to you than it's due to me. So with those words, I'd like to now move on to my presentation. I would request a screen share and time cues at 10 minutes. Can I share my screen now?
Yes, you can share your screen, Toastmaster Najam.
Okay, thank you. Okay, my presentation is about contest rules and judging. We've gone over how a contest should be administered and then how you can win a contest. We had some wonderful ideas and tips on how to win a contest. But the final outcome is that a contest is judged. And this is a very important role. And as a contest judge, you have a great responsibility. So let's see how this, the format of this presentation will be. There'll be a presentation by me, and then we'll have observations from many participants if they want to give them with the question and answer session. So now first coming to the why contest.
Sorry to interrupt, Toastmaster Najam. Are you sharing your screen yet?
Yes, I am.
Actually, we cannot see it.
Okay, let me see if there's
yeah. I think you clicked on the wrong window.
Yeah. Okay. Can you see it now?
No, I'm afraid not. Okay, Toastmaster, what I can do. What I can do is I can share the screen and you can tell me when to change the slide. Is that okay?
I changed the. Can you see it now?
Yes,
okay.
Now it's there. Now it's
Thank
there.
you. Thank you for pointing that out. So the contest, the format would be, as I just said, presentation followed by question and answer and observations from the participants. So first of all, why do we have a contest? Now the first 3 points, some of you may have heard already. They provide you high level experience for the Toastmasters to give their best. And the public who come to witness the contest. They provide the audience with an opportunity to learn by observing professional speakers. And the last point, which I've made myself, is that they showcase the Toastmasters program, and that's a good way to attract new members. This is our experience at Karachi Toastmasters. Now, the contest rules and judging. They are basically, contest types and recognized by Toastmasters International. There are 5 types of contest: the table topics, and you have the timings after that, 1 to 2 minutes, humorous 5 to 7 minutes, international 5 to 7 minutes, all tales 3 to 5 minutes, evaluation 2 to 3 minutes, and the video, which is basically the international speech contest, which is allowed for clubs, territorial councils, and provincial districts. Except for table topics, all contests allow a 30-second under and over grace period. That means the speech can be half a minute less or half a minute more, except for table topics, which must be a minimum of 1 minute and a maximum of 2.5 minutes. The sequence of contests in a district or internationally is they start with the club level, move on to the area contest, division, district, regional, quarterfinal, semi-final, and the World Championship. Now, all these contests will be online from now, I suppose, for this year at least. Now, what are the eligibility for a contest? A contestant must be a paid member of a club in which he is competing. The club must be in good standing, which means it must have a minimum of 8 paid members. To compete in the international speech contest, a member must have completed any 6 assignments in the CC manual or a minimum of 2 levels in the pathways. The only exception for this is the clubs which have been recently chartered. Now, this eligibility is required to be maintained through all levels. That means that if you start at the club level and you have won a contest and you were eligible at that time, if you go on to the next level and you are not eligible, that means you can't compete. Similarly, if you found out later that you were not eligible when you contested at the club level, you might be eligible when you move on to the area level, you still will not be allowed to compete in that contest. These are the eligibilities. A member serving a voting judge or a tie-breaking judge beyond the club level. Even at a club contest, if you are playing any other role, then you can't be a contestant. The incumbent international officers and directors, regional advisors and advisor applicants, all 8 districts officers whose terms are going to expire, and those who aspire to be district officers during the next term. Immediate past directors, district officers or candidates campaigning for an upcoming position, and presenters of education session, contest chairs, contest Toastmasters, etc. Number of judges and facilitators. I think I don't need to go over this in detail. You can refer to page 9 of the rule book. But as the level goes up, the number of judges is required to increase. I've mentioned only up to the district level here. It goes beyond that. When you go to the international level, there's a higher number of the requirement increases. Now, during a contest, protest can be lodged. Protest can only be made by the contestants or the voting judges. Protest cannot be made by the judge, ballot counter, other contestants, or the audience. Once the result of the contest has been announced, no protest can be made. Now let's come to the judging part of it. Now, what are the characteristics of a good judge? A good judge has to be accurate. He has to be committed to making the correct decision. They need to be able to understand the judging form and fill it correctly. The judge must be fair. You may know some of the contestants. You may have an affiliation through a professional affiliation. You may feel that he belongs to my club or he belongs to my city, but those things shouldn't come in anywhere in your judgments. A good judge should be trustworthy, that he has been given a responsibility and he is able to fulfill and live up to that responsibility and trust. And obviously, a judge needs to be knowledgeable. So only a person with some experience of Toastmastering as a contestant or as a member for a considerable period would be expected to be a good judge. Again, the exceptions are when a new club or you can't find somebody. And absolutely that a good judge must be a good listener, because judging requires constant attention to the speeches, and this is much more challenging in the online environment, because with the online environment, you know that you're not being watched by your fellow contestants with the other judges and the other audience members. So it's much easier to become distracted. Now, before and during the contest, this is especially for online contest, some of the points may have been covered by Toastmaster Aram already, but I'll just go over them. And so ensure that you have printouts of the correct judge's guide and ballot. Ensure that stationery for notes is on hand. Ensure that your laptop is charged and test all your equipment. Have contingency plans for power and Wi-Fi outages. Inform family members that you are a contest judge and request their cooperation. This is very important, since many of the online contests, we are at home and you can be expected to be disturbed by, somebody coming to the door or children coming into your room and asking for your attention. Avoid receiving calls or other disturbances like answering the door or something like that. Now, what are the barriers to objectivity? These are the pitfalls and slips that we can encounter while judging a contest. The speaker's position. We may be more alert when we hear the first speeches, and we may tend to judge them better. By the end of the contest or in the middle, we may lose our attention and, sometimes may use guesswork instead of judging the contestant on his speech. Now, every speaker deserves the same treatment and the same attention. Champion for the underdog. Now, whenever we are in a contest, we know that there are some new Toastmasters, there are some very senior masters, there may be some members who have won previous contests, but none of these things count on that day. On that day, the speech that is given is all that counts. Forget if somebody has won a contest before, so you feel that he doesn't deserve to win again or somebody else deserves a chance today. No, absolutely not. It's the speaker, the performance on that day. Now, the halo effect. Among the judging items, you look at the other club roles, that he's the president of a club, or that he's a district DTM already, or that he's a profession who speaks well. So none of these things should affect your judgment. Now, a reverse halo effect is when you judge somebody negatively for the same aspects. Like you would judge a friend maybe negatively. Said, you will be more harsher on your friend, that because he's my friend, I should judge him a bit more harshly. So avoid the reverse halo effect. Then the second time around, that somebody is repeating a speech. This is especially important when you are moving up the contest from the club level to the area level, the division level, and so on, and the district level. If you hear the same speech again as a judge, please, 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 maybe you may be bored by the speech, but the speech is the same that you've judged before, and avoid adverse marking because it's a repeat speech. Because contestants are allowed to repeat their speeches, they shouldn't be marked any worse for it. Then, not the norm. Say if somebody uses a fancy background in Zoom, or the quality of their lighting and equipment, that does affect our judgment. But try, in my view, no speaker should be adversely marked for that. Prejudice and personal preferences. Judging is inherently subjective. We have to be aware that we have, as human beings, we have prejudice, we have personal preferences, but that it's important to be aware of these prejudices. If somebody thinks that he doesn't have any prejudices, he doesn't have any preferences, that would be wrong and maybe could lead to bad judgment. So you have to be aware of your personal likes, dislikes, and avoid bringing those into your judgment and marking. Now for the next, we'll move on to a ballot paper. All judges will receive a ballot. Now each different speech contest has a different ballot. The ballot on your screen is for the international speech contest. I'm not sure whether you've been be able to see it clearly, but I'm sure that most of you have seen it. The top portion is where you do the grading in this area, and this is the actual ballot where you mark the first, second, and third position, and then hand this over or WhatsApp it or email it to the ballot counter. Now, it's important that you fill all 3 positions. You can't leave any position blank. Now, these are the judges' ballot and guide and ballot. For the tiebreaker judge, the only difference is that he will have to judge all the contestants he will have to place all the contestants in a position here. If there are 10 contestants, he will have to rate all 10 of them. Now, what I've tried to do here is I've tried to take all the different contests and their ballots and try to develop a comparison, the different ratings for different ballots, different contests. Now, for the speech, for the international, the weightage is 20 for development, effectiveness is 15. 15 is for the speech value. The delivery of the speech gets 30 points and 10 for physical, 10 for voice, 10 for manner. And finally, for the language, the appropriateness of the language is 10, and the correctness, where you look at the grammar, the word choice, 10 marks. Now, different weightages are given for the different contests. I think you can see them. And as a good judge, anything you can make your own judgment how to give the different weightages. Now, the major differences are the tall tales and the evaluation, especially the evaluation. The evaluation is different because the analytical quality gets the most weightage, which is 40 marks. The recommendations that you give to the speaker, how he's going to improve what he did correctly, and actually demonstrate how you can improve, that gets 30 marks. The techniques you employ, whether you are, empathetic with the speaker, you take it, how well you use your sandwich approach to give you advice, that gets 15 marks. And finally, the summation, that is very important for an evaluation contest, that you sum up whatever you have said in the previous, your comments, and you sum them up at the end. So that gets 15 points. Finally, there are many different ways to use a judge guide and ballot. It's better to take notes when the speech is actually being given. And when the speech is over, then you grade the sheet. You have 1 minute for that grading, and I think you can easily complete it in 1 minute, and use your notes for the grading. Use suggested points given on the tally sheet, or you can use your own value points. One way of judging is you take a midpoint and then you add and minus the specific areas which is for each speaker. Then you would come up with a final score. In case of a tie, or refer to your notes and refine your scoring further, and make sure that you rank the first and second and third places. Now, coming to the different contests, the areas, the contents of the speech. The content means how the speech has been developed, how effectively it has been delivered, and the language which has been used. For the delivery, you look at the physical appearance of the contestant, how well he has been dressed, how this area, the speaking area, has been used. Then you look at the voice quality, the modulation, the pitch, the rhetorical devices, all those for in the voice. And finally, the manner of delivery, directness, enthusiasm, and the appropriateness for the And the final 20 marks are for the language, which is the appropriateness of the language and the correctness with the grammar, and those things come into play into your determine your, the scoring. For the content, you look at the organization, how well these support material has been used, the effectiveness, whether the purpose of the speech has been achieved, how well it has been received. Now the reception area is how well a speech has been received is somewhat more difficult to judge in an online contest. And then you look at the speech value, whether the speaker makes sense, whether the thoughts and the, thank you, how the speech has been of value to the audience, whether it's appropriate for the audience, how original were the thoughts of the speaker. Now the third part is delivery, which gets 30 marks. Here you look at the physical, okay, the appearance, the body language, the speaking area, voice, flexibility, volume, and the manner, the directness, assurance of the speaker, enthusiasm. I think I've covered the appropriateness of the language and the correctness of grammar and language use. Okay, now I will invite the participants, if they would like to give any other observations for on this. I'll stop screen sharing and invite the audience if they would like to give any other observations on the judging of contest.
Yes, Toastmasters, we have about 10 minutes for Q&A session. And I know that especially those of you who have actually contested, there are tons of questions after a contest, unless you have won. So anyone who would like to pose a question to Toastmaster Najam Rizvi as an experienced judge, please go ahead right now. Please raise your hands or unmute your mic and ask straight away.
I have a question. Am I allowed to ask?
Yes, of course.
Yes.
Thank you very much. There was a question raised by one of the contestants during the area contest last year, and the person said that we can only contest before the results are announced. And if somebody is not agreed and he or she believes that the results are not as per the judgment criteria and there is something wrong, or there was some plagiarism which could not be identified at that time, and if some of the contestants raise this point, or any of the judges knowing that raise that point later on, so what's the SOP for that? Is there any mechanism for that to change the results later on?
Well, I think this is basically an area for the administration of a contest. But I think when we had the in-person contest, we addressed these questions before the results. If there was plagiarism, or if any contestant raised any other point on the qualification of the speaker, this has to be addressed before the results are announced. And I think, as Toastmaster Iram mentioned, once the final judgment has been announced, there's no scope for revising the results. That's my understanding. If somebody else has a different perspective or would like to add to that or correct me, they're most welcome to do so.
Okay, anyone else who has a question or comment, please raise your hand. Okay, so if there are no questions, we can move on to our next session.
Can I ask a question? Can I ask a question?
Yes, of course, of course.
How many of the contestants have been judged? Just raise your hand or give your reaction so I know that how many of the audience have been judges at previous contests.
My reaction is not working. I have been.
Judges needs to be disclosed.
We're just checking if the audience is actually present or we're just looking at pictures.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Over to you, Toastmaster.
Okay. Thank you so much. And yes, Toastmaster Imran Rana rightly pointed out that judges need to be confidential. And you are one of the very, very strong exponents of that. So we are just obeying you, sir, mentor. And I recognize our district director, Zunair Zafar, who has just joined. Welcome to the session, DTM Zunair. Our next speaker is a champion. And why is he a champion? Let me tell you. Born in Tanzania amongst the Maasai people, Althesh Thabay's first occupation was that of a cattle herder. He spoke only the Maasai language, ate beef, sometimes for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and was so introverted that he could not have addressed an audience of one. He grew up believing that he was destined to marry a Maasai girl, have children and grandchildren with her, and just live a quiet pastoral life in his small village. However, after getting an education locally and abroad, Tobias discovered his own potential and wondrous opportunities that exist for those who dare to dream and act. Mr. Tobias holds an MBA Finance, a graduate diploma in supply chain management, both from the UK, a graduate diploma in banking, and is a certified project manager from USA. He is a member of the United Nations High-Level Committee on Management and the Network Procurement in International Organizations. In addition to that, he's a distinguished Toastmaster, a John Maxwell certified coach, a banker, a mentor, a trainer, and a speaker. He's also a TEDx speaker and a coach. He currently lives in Pretoria, where he works for the African Development Bank. So he's a son from a loving family, brother to 6 siblings, an uncle to 300 nieces and nephews, a husband and a father of 3 daughters. So tell me, everyone, didn't you get the taste of a championship winning speech from that very introduction? Originally, I didn't plan to read it out, but it sounded so interesting to me that I had to. So please welcome our dear friend and one of the 3rd place winners of the International Video Speech Contest, DTM Althesh Thabayas. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Please put your hands together and let's hear DTM Althesh. Let's hear his secrets and let's get motivated. Over to you, DTM.
DTM Talha, thank you very much. You pronounced my names correctly. In fact, you got it right, just like my father used to call me. So that's absolutely fantastic. I'm excited, I'm honored, and I'm very happy to spend this evening with District Territorial Council 112. I bring with me a mountain of greetings from District 114, Division D, Area 1, from 2 clubs that I represent, Early Bird Toastmasters, the coolest, the hippest, the most happening club in the southern of Sahara and in the northern of Limpopo. And the second club is Mount Meru Toastmasters. Today I'm going to talk about getting out and speak to the world. Talha did ask me to talk about how can one participate, how can one challenge themselves into participating into the world competition. District 122, being a territorial council, qualifies to compete for Toastmasters International video speech contests. And therefore, that is a good opportunity for Toastmasters who want to take their speaking and leadership skills to the next level to participate at an international level. You cannot improve what you cannot measure. These are the words of the management guru, Peter Drucker. But I also remember my grandmother once told me, a woman who does not visit other women would not know how to cook. In life, we can only know where we stand if we measure ourselves against certain indicators. For example, in football, we compete and we are gauged and measured by the number of goals we score. In business, we compete against other competitors vis-a-vis the market share and the profits that we make. In Toastmasters, we compete against the evaluation criteria. And I'm happy that Toastmasters Najam Zivni had highlighted to us on the requirement of winning a contest. I really enjoyed your presentation and I learned quite a lot of lessons. I have competed in several contests, local and international. And one question that has always scared me and that I would like to challenge you today is, do I have what it takes to compete internationally? And I would like each and everyone who is in this call tonight to ask themselves this question. Do I have what it takes to compete internationally? That question scared me. Coming from a small village, as Talha indicated, starting as a herbal cutter, that question always scared me. And I should change myself. But after being in Toastmasters for 5 years, I'm happy to tell you that, yes, I have what it takes to compete internationally. And let me also bring good news to everyone who's listening to me tonight. You also have what it takes to compete in the international space. There are 3 things that you need to qualify to compete internationally. And I have this acronym that I came up with that would keep encouraging you to compete internationally. It is TAP. I would call it TAP. Number 1 is, do you have a topic? Number 2 is, do you take the audience into consideration, or do you have an audience? And number 3 is preparation. If you have these 3 items, then you qualify like anybody in any corner of the world to compete internationally. When I was preparing this presentation, I contacted 5 speakers who had participated and won in the international speaking level. And one of the things that they told me is, it is important for one to have a topic that they are passionate about, a topic that they know about, and a topic that they believe in, and a topic that they want to talk about. I remember one of the speakers in the international space talked about an experience that he had losing his loved one. In some of the speeches that I shared, I always talk about my failure. I started learning how to swim when I was it was actually last year at the age of 52 years old. And I like talking about these experiences. So topic is really, really important. You can even pick your icebreaker and throw it in the international space. The second aspect is the audience. Always have the audience in mind. And remember, if you're preparing for an international speech and you have a good speech, you have a good topic, you might need to craft that topic, you might need to adjust that topic, you might need to change that topic in such a way that the international audience will be able to identify with you, will be able to follow what you're sharing, and will be able to engage with you and respond to the information that you're sharing. Thinking and considering the audience is really, really important. And if possible, if you know some people in the audience, appreciate them. If possible, and you know the environment that the audience is experiencing, bring it up. I remember Romana, one of the contests in 2019, talked about her being in the Toastmaster environment and the possibility of her being able to get the love of her life after being single in so many years. And I could see people clapping. Why? Because she identified with the audience. So it is really important. And the third aspect is preparation. I cannot emphasize on that. Preparation is key. Preparation is very, very important. The lady who won the Toastmasters International video tapped speech this year, Caroline Gadhuru, is my mentor. And when I spoke to her this afternoon, because she knew I was going to speak to District 122, I asked her, so what can you tell me about preparation? And she said, I cannot even insist how important preparation is. And I remember when she was preparing for that, she had, I would say, a gang of mentors, and I was one of them. And we would challenge her, we would push her to the wall, we would help her correct the grammar, we would help her correct the areas that she needed to address, the video, the voice, the lighting, all these. As far as I'm concerned, I prepare like I'm going for a marathon. I would write my speech, scrap it off and write it again, scrap it off and write until when I cannot even explain, but until when I get to a point of hating my speech. And when I get to that point, I share it with my mentor, and my mentor would also correct. I also bring in the family members. I have a 6-year-old daughter. I would deliver my speech to her and get some feedback. If she can understand, then I will take it to the next level, to my biggest critic in the house, my wife. And when she gives me her comments, then I would move on. So preparation. So as you prepare to participate in the international contest, remember the 3 things: TAP, topic, audience, and preparation. The second question that I would like to ask myself is, how do I win the international competition? And I want to give you some of the tricks, some of the nuggets that I used when preparing to win in an international competition. But this did not start overnight. In 2016, I competed for we were then a territorial council. I competed for a territorial competition, and this brings like 3 countries. I went through the first stage and then I passed. Second stage, I was kicked out. Then 2017, I tried again. First stage I went through. Second stage I went through. Third stage I was kicked out. And I threw in the towel. I gave up. I said, never again. 2019, last year, my club president asked me, we need someone who will represent our club in the international video speech contest, but also in the district. And I said, no, Madam President, I don't want to try this. I failed twice and I just don't feel like, I'm a bad loser. I said, I don't feel like going through the pain and the torture again. But she insisted. And when she insisted, I decided to give it a try. But I told myself that this time I am not going to fail. I'm not going to win. Whether they declare me a winner or not, I am going to win. So what I did is I decided to define my own winning criteria. And let me just tell you what were those. I said I will show up on stage and just be myself. The other criteria is practice, practice, practice. And I really practiced until I could not practice anymore. And the third one is I said I am going to use all the skills that I ever learned in Toastmasters. So I went to the icebreaker, how to get to the point, body language, vocal variety, how to say it, how to inspire the audience, how to persuade the audience. And I went through all these speeches. And I went point by point on the areas that I was asked to improve. The other aspect that I put into consideration as my winning criteria was to make sure that I follow all the evaluation criteria. Najam had indicated to us the evaluation rubric. So I went through the rubric and I made sure that I cover every aspect. And the last one was to prepare to the best of my ability. So I promised myself that if I qualify all these requirements, if I go on stage, deliver my speech, speak what is in my heart, follow all the evaluation criteria, and prepare and prepare and prepare, I would have won that competition. And in the two previous competitions, I used to put on a suit and a tie. I really used to look good. And I said, this time I'll try and be smart, but I'll just take it easy. And that's exactly what I did. So I went and I delivered that speech. Interestingly, I met all the criteria. I won that competition based on my own requirements. But then there's something else, something amazing that happened during that competition. For the Toastmasters International Video Competition, I was number 3. And Zaid, who's apparently from Pakistan, was number 2. And then we went to the district level. And I just did fulfill all my own winning criteria. Again, I went there, delivered my speech according to my own winning criteria. Interestingly, I also won the championship of the district. So what am I trying to share here? The lessons that I learned in the two first failures that I experienced was that in 2016, I was focusing on winning. I was focusing on the destination rather than focusing on the journey. 2017, it was exactly the same. In 2019, I decided to focus on the journey, and that made such a big difference. The third aspect that I would like you to think about is why participate in international competitions? Why bother? Now, after being in these platforms, but also after engaging with the champions of the international competitions, there are a few things that they shared, but there are also a few things that I would like to share with you. But before I share, I would like to ask you one question. If you are to become a world champion today, how does it change the speaking skills that you have? Let me ask again. If you had to become the world champion of public speaking today, how does that change the speaking skills that you have? Now, as you process that question, Talha, do you want to respond to that?
Well, it's a tough question, and honestly, a fresh angle to the whole situation. How will it change my speaking skills? I believe it will bring much more confidence.
That is absolutely correct. And Talha, I think you answered that question in a very clever way. because you did not dodge my question, but you gave me the right answer. If you had to become the world champion today, how does that change your speaking skills? You actually did not talk about the speaking skills. You talked about the confidence. So the answer is, if I understood you correctly, it will not change your speaking skills, but it will give you the confidence. Did I interpret your answer correctly?
Toastmaster Aldesh, you weren't audible in the last sentence wasn't audible.
So what I'm saying is you answered the question correctly, that winning the world championship does not change your skills, but it will improve your confidence. Now, the second question that I ask is, does the journey that leads you to becoming the world champion improve your speaking skills, whether you win or not? Let me repeat. Does the journey that leads you to becoming the world champion improve your speaking abilities or your speaking skills, whether you win or not?
Toastmaster Anas Mansoor, is that a yes?
Yes, definitely it's a yes. My journey will definitely increase my communication skills. No matter I win or lose, I will ultimately win in my own mind.
Absolutely. That is my experience. That is the experience of the international champions that I spoke to. They have exactly the same experience, which is an encouragement to all of us that it is not really about bringing that championship home. It is about acquiring those skills and being able to use those skills in your day-to-day lives. Now, some of the benefits that you will get by the reason as to why you need to participate in the international competition, and these are also some of the experiences that I have, is you'll make a lot of friends. You'll have an opportunity to meet a lot of people. For example, when I was competing for the district championship, I met a lot of people like Lalindra, who just volunteered to help me in the journey as I was preparing. About a month ago, when I was vying to become an accredited speaker, I met a lot of friends, including Chokri from Bahrain. The other thing is, this is one of the best training grounds that you can ever get, participating in the international competition. And I also do understand that the district and the territorial council will provide you with some training that would allow you to participate in the competition. It's exactly what Najam has shared with us today. You'll also get to know a lot about yourself. For example, participating in international competitions has allowed me and has allowed people to notice that I have good storytelling abilities. The other thing is you will be stretched to the maximum. Normally, if you get a rubber band and you stretch, it will never go back to its shape. And likewise, when you participate in this kind of competitions, you will be stretched to the maximum. And what does that mean is, if you go back to your business, if you go back to your community, if you go back to your place of work, your speaking level, your speaking skills would have moved from this level to this level. And this is again another advantage of participating in this kind of an environment. But the other one that I did experience is the fact that it will, and I remember Talha had shared this, it will of course improve your confidence. The last question that I did ask when I was preparing this presentation is, how will this competition, how will participating in the international competition change your life as a speaker? There are several, but I would like to say that you can actually include that in your CV and said, I'm a contender, I'm a third place winner, or you can just say I was a competitor in the global international video speech competition. And I can tell you, if you are applying for a job and you are at neck and neck with somebody else, they will probably take you because they will know that you take the risk. You take the courage to go into areas outside your comfort zone. Then you will, of course, get a global recognition. I felt really good when they announced my name in the international convention about a month ago, being an accredited speaker, level 1. I did not move to level 2, but at least I was recognized. And if you can participate in international competition, that would, of course, allow you to be recognized globally. You will, of course, have a story to tell. And the last one is, you will, of course, and this is really, really important, you would stand a chance of winning that competition. And that is a beautiful thing that would happen to you. Of course, we have people like Denanjai who are not necessarily from the US, and they were able to win these competitions. And just like you and me, we have that opportunity. But there is also something that I noticed, especially for District 122. The fact that we have a third place winner in 2020 and a second place winner in 2019. So what does that mean? There is a potential, there is the ability, you have the skills, of course, to go out into the international arena because we have evidence. Now, as I finish, I would like to share something that had happened to me. When I was in primary school, I used to play football. And for 7 years, I would show up in the football pitch, play for 90 minutes, and sometimes I would not touch the ball, not even once. But still, I did not miss a single match, and I did not miss a single practice lesson. For 7 years, I did not score a single goal. And I remember 2 weeks before graduation, we had to play against our archivals, the neighboring school. And the match started. We were all excited, expecting to win that match. 10 minutes, there was no goal. Half time, there was no goal. 40 minutes, 45, 60 minutes, there was not goal. 89 minutes, there was no goal. And at that time, I just gave up. I just decided to rest and wait for the final whistle to blow. But then something happened. My teammate Solo hit the ball. And when he hit the ball, I realized that the ball was not going to get into the goalpost. The ball hit me. And when the ball hit me, it went straight into the goalpost. I won. Our team won. And that evening, I was declared the best footballer of the year, even though it was just for one night. Now, I would like to say this as I finish. When Toastmasters throw you a challenge to compete, when Toastmaster gives you an opportunity or offers you an opportunity to compete, they're training you. They're giving you a possibility to score a goal. And scoring a goal is not really about winning that competition. Scoring a goal is about you realizing the potential. It's about you being able to give the message to the audience. It's about you sharing your skills and sharing yourself to the world. I would therefore encourage each and everyone who is in Territorial Council 122 to go out and compete in the global arena. Back to you, DTM Talha.
Thank you so much, DTM Avdesh. It was so inspiring, and it was a major source of motivation, I have no doubt, for each and every one who's listening. So we had 4 amazing speakers, amazing trainers today, and they all touched upon different aspects of a contest. And if I am able to summarize it in 2 sentences, the entire more than 2 hours. I believe it can be summarized in 2 sentences. One is, the joy is in the journey and not the destination. Especially in Toastmasters, the joy is in the preparation, the joy is in the contest, the joy is in the learning that you gather, the joy is in the improvement as a person that you experience while you're preparing for a contest and while you're competing, and in the end, the result is secondary. And the second piece of learning was that there can be only one winner, but that doesn't mean that everybody else lost. And that's what Toastmasters is about. There's so many ways to win. With that, I will now hand over the charge to someone. If you need to ask who he is or his introduction, I will once again cancel your Toastmasters membership. So without further ado, since we've gone over time, and in his favorite habitat of the automobile, live from his car, we have our District Director, DTM Zunair Zafar. Over to you.
Thank you, distinguished Toastmaster Talha, our program quality director. And yes, I'm back in my favorite habitat, being in an automobile, because that's one of the things that we do these days. We are on a mobile, so I'm on my automobile most of the time. I would like to thank all the trainers because there's joy in one more thing. DKM Talha mentioned a number of things, but there's another joy, the joy of sharing. And all of our trainers today, very experienced champions and Toastmasters, shared a part of themselves with all of us. And that's one of the great things that anyone can do. And they shared some really unique experiences. I would like to thank Toastmaster Iram Rizvi, distinguished Toastmaster Atif Irfan, Toastmaster Najm Rizvi, distinguished Toastmaster Altesh, for all the amazing insights into the process of conducting contests, participating in them, and the journey. Although it's really unfortunate that we are going through these really tricky and difficult times of pandemic and corona, but what it has done is that it has really bridged the gap between some tiny districts like those, our own district, Territorial Council, District 122, and the many experienced districts who are really huge as compared to us in size. But because this year, all of them will have all their contests from club level to the district level online, something that we are also required to do. So we might not have the budgets to arrange big auditoriums and have grand stages, but they can't do it either, which means that the difference between us and them is really small. Also, we have just the option of participating in a video speech contest. Now we'll be going through a very similar process, recording our videos the same way they will be doing. What was the objective of this whole session of training? The objective was to share these experiences, to bring our Toastmasters at par, because we want all of our Toastmasters to get so much experience that when they go for their first, second, or the 10th contest, they know that everyone has been through this journey and how everyone has grown over their journey. And also to know that they can always refer to these people and all the amazing Toastmasters within the district, outside our district, who will be glad to share their own insights, help you in becoming a better communicator and a better person. So what are you now required to do? You're now required to go back, think of a speech, prepare it, share it with some of your mentors, and go ahead, participate in your first ever contest, and be the best version of yourself. You may win, but if you don't win, you'll still gain a lot of experience that will take you really ahead in your life. Also, one more thing, the main objective, another objective of this training is that we really appreciate all those people who have, and every one of you has something to share. And if you want to share something, if you know that you have some skill, or if you feel that there's something that you can add to the lives of all the other Toastmasters in your district, area, club, or any level, then come to us. Get in contact with DTM Talha, and we'll arrange some training so that you can share your learnings with everyone and we can all grow together. So with that, request from my side to come forward, give a part of yourself and share that part of yourself with everyone. I would like to thank once again all the amazing trainers that we had today and DTM Talha for arranging this amazing session, and wishing you best of luck for this year's contest season, which has already begun. So go ahead, deliver your amazing speech and let the world know about your hidden talents. Thank you. Back to DTM Talha.
Thank you so much, District Director Zunair. First of all, apologies for going over time, though this was an educational session, so I believe that it was all worth it. But we will try harder to be on time next time. And when is that next time? Coming Saturday. Mark your calendars for 7 p.m. There will be a session on Toastmasters branding. My last request will be to turn all of your video cameras so that we can have a picture. And try to look happy, even if you aren't. So that's also a great way to really see who is really attending the session. And the bottom 8 people prove that you're attending the session by turning on your video cameras. Okay, I'll take a picture in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And there we go. Thank you so much for your participation. Thank you so much for our trainers. Thank you so much, District Director Zunair, and all our participants. We'll see you this Saturday, inshallah. And meanwhile, the video of this session will be made available as soon as possible, but not so quickly that you feel encouraged to miss out further sessions. So everyone, goodbye, have your dinner, and have a great time. Allah Hafiz.
Thank you very much, DTM Talha. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz.